New Horizons Garden has been here since 1987. We had a 30th anniversary party last year, and one of the people from the Chicago Community Gardens Association told us that this is one of the oldest community gardens in Chicago. And foods have traveled a long distance. That means they were picked earlier, and that means that they don't have quite the same nutritional value in terms of the vitamins because they weren't allowed to fully ripen. So when something comes right off of the plant here, it's going to have more nutrients, more vitamins than something that had to get shipped. A lot of land in Chicago, actually all over Chicago, is contaminated with lead and arsenic. It can accumulate in our bodies over time, and it can cause cell damage, which can then lead to other illnesses. So the way a plant works is that it's going to draw up that lead and arsenic into the leaves and into the seeds and down in the root. But when you're going to eat the botanical fruit of the plant, so like a tomato or a squash, then it's okay to plant it directly in the soil. The kind of gardening we're doing here is container gardening. So any plant where we're going to eat the root, the leaf, or the seeds, we grow that only in clean soil that we bring in. So container gardening is one kind of gardening, and there are also other kinds of gardening that are happening all over Chicago. For example, hydroponics, growing in water, or aeroponics, growing in air. You know, if you go to different farmers markets, there are different vendors there who are doing all those different styles. Some ways that gardening can complement and enhance, receiving that good mental health care. One is that it can be very meditative to work out in the garden, to get a chance to do something, even something like weeding, that has a rhythm to it. Something as simple as sunshine can be really important for helping with mental health. There are actually microorganisms in the soil. Certainly I know that when I get here to the garden, I just feel more relaxed, I feel more peaceful. I like getting my hands dirty, I like getting my hands in the soil and experiencing the garden that way. I was double booked one morning. I was coming from a 2-hour-long meeting I had first thing on a Saturday morning, and then we had volunteers here in the garden, and my fellow coordinators were here. So I got here late, and I was in a pretty bad mood from this meeting, and just feeling stressed out and feeling like life was too busy. And as soon as I was walking from the Blue Line, as soon as I rounded this corner onto South Central Park and could see the garden, I just felt myself getting, my mood lifting, getting so much more relaxed. I was excited to see the two women I coordinate the garden with, excited to see some of our regular volunteers, and just excited to be here. It's such a beautiful space, but I just love to see plants growing. It really makes me happy to see sprouts coming up through the soil, or when plants start to set fruit or bloom. So to me, a healthy community is one where all of the spaces, whether they're green spaces like this one or whether it's a building, where they're all well cared for so that everyone can flourish. So one of the best things we can do is to engage in major muscle movement. So biking, walking, pushing a wheelbarrow, a lot of the things that are involved in gardening, those sorts of things can help to alleviate the stress that is carried in our muscles. I think it's valuable for all of us to know where our food comes from. So maybe you don't want to actually get your hands dirty, maybe you hate the thought of weeding, and that's okay, but I welcome everyone to come into the garden to just know what it looks like when your food is growing. Learn to feel more connected to the source of where their food comes from, and that can help them to have a healthier life.